I secretly tightened my daughter's dresses in order to make her believe that her breasts had gotten bigger. I also slipped her some medicine that induced vomiting. I had to convince my daughter that she was pregnant, and I was able to. She even wanted to take a pregnancy test. But that wasn't in my best interest. I told her that those tests weren't always accurate. So I took my daughter to a doctor I paid to come up with a fake pregnancy report.
Mom, what should I do now?
That was the question I had been waiting for. The whole reason behind my actions. My daughter had recently broken up with a lovely guy named Robin, and I was looking for a way to get him back. At the hospital, I asked Mary to call Robin. She didn't think he would talk to me, but he was well-mannered, listened to what I told him, and agreed to come to a dinner without any further questions. That evening, I handed him a baby onesie. Robin understood everything and accepted the news with dignity. Good boy. I was right about him. We had to set a date for the wedding, as I couldn't trick my daughter for more than a month. I called my friends, and they gave me the names of the best seamstress, florist, chef. My daughter didn't care and only showed interest when we were discussing the DJ.
Mom, meet Steve. He is cool.
This Bam Bam option, she found, wasn't good enough. I wanted our guests to remember the wedding with joy, not with a headache. Eventually, the wedding day arrived. I met the guests at the church entrance, seated them, and gave the green light so the ceremony could begin. Robin walked my daughter down the aisle, but suddenly stepped to the side. My daughter was going to marry a completely different man. It was the DJ. I wanted to stop that disgrace. But then I saw how the guests were enjoying the ceremony. Some were even wiping their tears. I decided to be patient and pretended to be just as touched. After the ceremony, I pulled my daughter to the side for a serious conversation, and she confessed that nothing ever happened between her and Robin.
We pretended to be together to make you happy.
As it turned out, my daughter immediately saw through my plan with the smaller dresses and emetic pills. However, I didn't understand why. She hadn't said anything to me. My daughter asked me to go back to the party.
Come on, you will get the answer to your question there.
Once we got back inside, I saw the musician I had hired at the entrance. My daughter told him that his services wouldn't be necessary. I went to the hall, imagining the unhappy faces of the guests. Yet, what I saw was all my friends and relatives joyfully dancing while my daughter's new husband played his music. I listened to it for a bit and enjoyed it quite a lot. My daughter came up to me and asked if I had gotten an answer to my question.
It was important for me to show you how others have approved us and accepted our union. Now, it's your turn.
Up until that moment, I failed to realize how much I relied on other people's opinions. I apologized for it and promised my daughter that her opinion would be my one priority. Don't let the noise of other people's opinions drown your own inner voice.
I pierced all the condoms in my son's bedroom and replaced my daughter-in-law's birth control pills with vitamins. Not only that, but for dinner, the newlyweds were served an unusual dessert, Viagra cakes. My mother-in-law is the best. You should visit us more often. They quickly ate all the treats, and my plan was in motion. That night, Brandon was finally going to make me a grandson. I was all ears. However, no sound was coming from inside the bedroom. I knocked and opened the door, and I gasped. The only one inside was my daughter-in-law. She told me that my son went to fix the neighbor's faucet. What neighbor? Old Mrs. Fletcher? No, the young girl across the street. She just moved in. It was a disaster. Brandon had eaten a dozen Viagra cakes, and now he was helping his neighbor. That's when I realized that I had raised him to be too good of a person. I rushed to the neighbor's house, and she opened the door. While standing there, in her short bathrobe, she called out to my son.
Mom, is something wrong?
I looked at my son and realized that the Viagra had worked. Unfortunately, Brandon's wife noticed it as well. Is there something you want to explain to me?
Baby, I don't know how this happened.
My daughter-in-law was insulted and said that they should spend the night apart. That wasn't part of my plan, but I figured out a way to make it work. Ingrid, it's all my fault. I told her I mistook my medicine with the vanilla extract that I was supposed to add to the cakes. Those drops get the blood flowing, and I think that's what happened. Fortunately, my daughter-in-law also ate quite a few of the cakes, which affected her blood pressure. She believed me and agreed to stay. Thank you. We'll try to spice things up. That night, not just me, but the whole block heard my son and daughter-in-law get intimate. I was happy and looking forward to holding my grandson in my arms. After my son moved out, I was unbearably lonely. But 9 months later, I became a grandmother. I offered to take care of the baby after the birth, so my daughter-in-law could take a break. Live a little, Grandmothers love to be with babies. But my daughter-in-law gently picked up my grandson from my arms and didn't miss the opportunity to remind me about my health. We don't want to bother you. Babies require a lot of energy, and you have problems with your blood pressure. I wasn't going to give up. The next day, I stalked the kids to the park. What a surprise! Here, let me hold my grandson. My son wasn't happy to see me. It was the first time he'd ever crossed me. As it turned out, he found the pierced condoms, as well the vitamins I swapped the birth control pills for.
You knew we were planning to have a baby later on, but you decided to intervene.
Brandon threatened that they would raise the baby without my help. And I have to say, he didn't back down from his decision. I didn't see my grandson much after that, mostly through videos. So I had to figure out what to do during my retirement. And you know what? I found something to do. I started baking cakes for the coffee shop next door. And they were a big hit, even without the secret stuffing. Remember, kids don't owe you anything. Don't burden them with your expectations.